Welcome to another weekly Forex forecast, traders. Looking at the DXY first, just a reminder, we are approaching significant monthly demand. I don't know if you guys can see these two green demand zones and these dotted lines. That indicates monthly demand from back in this area here. So I think, especially with this liquidity trap here, this support liquidity area, I think it's a high odds chance we do something like this where we do see some dollar strength. It doesn't mean we won't see continued dollar weakness for a couple weeks, maybe another month or two before we rally out. But I am just telling you guys, we have some higher time frame monthly demand that is about to come into control. Before we move on with this weekly Forex forecast, just want to point out a couple nice trades we had from last week's daily market breakdown videos, the USDCAD trade on the H1 chart, and the EURUSD trade, and one of the members also caught this trade from the daily market breakdown videos. So it was a fantastic trading week. With that being said, let's get right into more analysis. So looking at the daily chart of the DXY, you can see we are pretty much in free fall territory right now. So just based off of how aggressive we pushed down, we could definitely see some dollar strength before eventually rolling out over. That's just kind of how trends work, right? If you just look at past price action, you can see price usually ebbs and flows, right? So I'm just saying we are kind of quote unquote, and I'm doing air quotes with my hands right now, due for some sort of pullback on the dollar. We did kind of get the pullback here at this 1 hour area of supply. We pushed up, reacted many times off the supply, but if you look at this 1 hour chart, it's clear to me we're pretty much just ranging in this whole area. So it's not super clear where we are going. If we break this low here, that could definitely continue the downward pressure we have seen. But if we do break this supply and create some sort of uptrend, then we could see the dollar rally for a couple days. So we'll definitely be monitoring that throughout the week. And on the 4 hour chart, things are a little bit more clear. It's kind of like more of a refined daily time frame, if that makes sense. So this is my downward trend line that I have here. You can feel free to copy it on your chart. That's fine. The issue with this trend line is we're pretty far from it. So it's a pretty good trend line. I actually think we could see some strength just to push towards a trend line before we end up falling over again. So I'm just saying we have some space in here to fill for price to kind of test that trend line. And then I am expecting the trend line to hold. Why am I expecting the downward trend line to hold in the 4 hour chart? Because the daily trend is down. Now, once we hit the weekly demand down below, if we do, then I'm going to be pretty bullish. Then I would actually expect the downward trend line to be removed. But if we push up first and hit the downward trend line, before going back to the weekly chart, if we do that before we hit these weekly demand zones down here, then I think we will continue to push down. So ultimately, I am expecting some more dollar weakness to come, but ultimately later on, and maybe in a month or so, I am expecting to see the dollar start to rally again, probably back over $100 again. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. As you can see, we clearly targeted this liquidity area, and what that is it was basically an area of resistance that tested once, twice, 3 times. We came back in for a third test, broke that resistance, and we are targeting that liquidity right now. We are about to approach an opposing weekly supply. It is fresh. If you go back here, it's a fresh zone, and what that means is it wasn't tested. If you look, we pushed up, almost touched the zone, didn't test it, so it is still fresh. So this could be an area we turn around from. I don't like how far it's been since we've hit that zone, right? It's been since 2021, so it's not the highest odds zone, but I am saying we could maybe see a small move, at least hesitate, around that area of supply on the weekly time frame. So we targeted that liquidity. We created a very nice upward trend line here on the daily time frame. So I would definitely be monitoring this upward trend line on the daily chart. Like I said, on the DXY, we are coming into demand. So obviously on the euro, it is the opposite. So if the dollar comes in demand and starts to rally, the euro we expect to fall. So with that being said, you still could be trading long as this daily trend line continues, right? I could be completely wrong on my DXY analysis, and the dollar could continue to fall while the euro continues to rise. So if that is the case, then you could just be continuing to look for long as this trend line is holding on the daily chart. So as long as this daily chart is holding, you could look for longs on any time frames lower than the daily time frame. That is completely fine to me. Even if we hit the monthly demand on the DXY, you could still look for longs. It just becomes a little more aggressive. And since we're so high in the curve, you might want to be more aggressive with your profit taking. That would be fine. And look, even if we do get a pullback down to the couple daily demand zones down below at 1.09, I think they're great areas to look for a swing trade potential long. It even is possible maybe the banks and the large players, maybe they want to push the euro up. Maybe that's their plan, their goals, whatever. I don't know how they work 100%, but maybe that's their plans. It's possible they want to push price down here, get more buy orders down in here at demand, and then push price up and kind of stop everyone out below the trend line liquidity here. So that is definitely a possibility. Definitely want to be monitoring the daily upper trend line. Pullbacks to that daily demand are fine. In the meantime, I don't like the 1 hour chart. If you just look here, it's pretty much just ranging. So there hasn't been a ton of setups on the EURUSD. Like I said, like I pointed out at the beginning of the video, we caught this trade you're seeing on the screen right now on the EUROJPY from the dealer market breakdown video. It was a fantastic trade. If you guys aren't liking this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. I do these forecasts every single Saturday for free. So make sure to hit that like button. That's all I ask. So as far as a 4 hour chart in the euro goes, we have two rally-based rally demand zones. A rally-based rally means it's a rally-based rally rather than a drop-based rally demand. So if you look here, you can see two very clear rally-based rally, single candle demand zones. Very, very powerful zones. I will say I do much prefer this zone here. It's as far as the basing goes, it's almost as good as this one, but it's just, I don't know, to me it just seems cleaner. I don't like this wick here. However, we do kind of have some sort of liquidity area right here that I am recognizing. So I think this is a good little 4 hour demand zone to look for potential long trades at 112. Now remember guys, if you don't feel comfortable with just, let's just say, an entry, stop loss, and take profit, that is okay. What you could be doing is waiting for this demand zone to hit, treat it as your higher time frame, which means you could be going down to a 15-minute time frame or lower and looking for confirmation longs inside of that demand. So you could be using both of these zones as a higher time frame zone to look for lower time frame entries. That is completely fine. But at the end of the day, two very good 4 hour areas of demand we could see moves off of for sure here on the euro US dollar. If you look, we have a nice trend as well, nice trend line. So at any point, as long as this upward trend line is being respected, I don't mind looking for longs on the day trading timeframes. I'm not a day trader, but if you are, you're in luck. Beautiful trends to the upside. We're going to be looking for longs on the day trading timeframes. Pullbacks down to the 4 hour demand. Definitely looking good here on the euro USD. All right, on to the forecast for gold. This thing has just been on an absolute tear, and finally, we have created a demand zone on the weekly chart. My last demand zone was all the way down below $2,500 at $22.24. I do things a little bit differently here. I don't call any of this demand. This to me is just chugging along. It was great if you were involved long from down here, right? Just letting your profits run. It was absolutely fantastic, but there was just not any demand created. If you look at the difference between this and this. Look at this strong move away compared to this. This is chugging along. So finally, we have created a weekly demand. And honestly, I am expecting a pullback to this weekly demand. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think we are going to see a pullback to this demand. We've pushed up so far. We are so due for some sort of correction. I just have a really good feeling. I'll show you guys what to look for to suggest if that's going to happen or not, but I think it's a fantastic dip buying opportunity that everybody should get involved in, especially if you're going to buy physical gold as well. I think it's just phenomenal. So I'm expecting a pullback down to that weekly demand. However, I'm expecting a pullback down to this demand zone first, down to this little daily demand at 32.29. So the weekly demand is somewhere down here, but before that we have a daily demand. So I think that's a great little pullback entry down to the 32.29. This is a daily chart, so it's kind of a big zone. So what you could be doing is waiting for this demand zone to be hit, and you could be looking for longs on the day trading timeframes, or sorry, on the H4 timeframe all the way down to, I would say maybe I would just stick to the H1, H4. You could also be looking for day trades in there as well if you really want to turn a day trade into some sort of swing trade, but it's a great little daily demand zone to look for a dip buy opportunity. Beautiful trend to the upside. This is looking absolutely picture perfect. The reason I'm saying we're expecting a pullback is because we've seen some sort of pullback on the 1 hour chart, and the fact that we've created demand for the first time in so long in the weekly chart and pretty much in the daily chart as well, I kind of am expecting a pullback. So how would I trade this? Well, I don't really see anything on the 4 hour or on the 1 hour chart, so I'm not even going to go to those time frames. All I'm going to say, looking at this 4 chart layout, obviously it's longs all the way. I don't see any reason to short gold at all. There's no reason to be doing that. So what I'd be doing is if you're, so, well, let me restart. If you want to trade gold, I'd be looking for longs on a 15-minute chart or a 5-minute chart. Even if price starts to pull back, that's fine. And then we can continue to do so in the daily demand, and then we can continue to do so in the weekly demand if we get those pullbacks. So it's longs all the way on gold. Whatever time frame you want to trade, that's fine. I would stick to the day trading time frames until we can hit the daily or the weekly demand. Looking really, really good on here on gold. The trends are looking really strong. Be patient. Wait for zones to form however you like to trade. I'm personally waiting for the daily demand and the weekly demand. On to the forecast for the USDJPY. This is a picture-perfect daily downward trend line. Absolutely love it. We are expecting to see more downward pressure looking at this daily downward trend line. We're actually going to go up to a weekly chart. I usually like to go from like the weekly down, but I wanted to point out this daily downward trend. It is looking really good. All signs are pointing to the downside unless we can really get a push up like this, breaking supply, breaking a downward trend line. Any moves to the upside are going to be short-lived. Yes, I'm going to point out potential counter trend setups, what we could look for that in a couple minutes here, but I'm just saying all signs are really pointing to the downside here on the USDJPY. Even if, let's say we push up, break the trend line, we still have a very high, I wouldn't say it's super high quality, it is a decent zone. At 149.09, I think it's a high probability we move off that supply zone, especially right above a trend line like that. So even if we break the trend line, we have a very good supply zone to we could see a move off of. So that is something you could have your eye out on for sure. And the reason I'm expecting this daily downward trend line to continue, well, it's because it's a good trend. And on the weekly time frame, we have a clear liquidity area down here that I think we will most likely be targeting. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about liquidity. I'm kind of just getting into it. I definitely it's kind of just things I've picked up on my own. I haven't learned it from anybody. It's just things I've just purely seen myself. So you can laugh at me all you want. If you think I'm doing it quote unquote wrong, that's fine. Everyone's got their own way. So normally what I've seen from liquidity is we will see a push below liquidity and followed by a move up, something like this. So it is definitely possible we do that if we do break this low here. So if you want to catch a trade on the way up there, you can. Again, I would rather be looking at this downward trend line. I'd rather, give me 1 second. I want to see what this daily, okay, never mind. So I'd rather be I'd rather be trading this downward trend. So that's what I'd rather be doing in the meantime. So what you could be doing is monitoring this 4-hour downward trend line. Make sure you copy it on your charts. And then as long as the downward trend line is holding, you could be looking for shorts on the 50-minute time frame, even the 5-minute time frame. That'd be fine as well. And like I was telling you guys, for liquidity, we could see a push down followed by an immediate spike up. So what you could be doing for that to catch a potential trade is waiting for the downward trend line to be removed like this. And if we have a new 4-hour demand zone, that would be our potential long setup right there. That would be our counter trend setup. That's really the only way I would be counter trend trading on this pair right now, especially considering the very nice daily downward trend line. And if you want to get this zone on the chart, if this does happen, that's a zone I'm going to have on my charts for all of the members. If you want to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership for exclusive access to our daily market breakdown videos and catch trades like these. Plus, dive deep with our full-length forecast covering 26 plus markets, our interactive Sunday Zoom sessions, and personal homework to sharpen your strategy. And you'll also join our private Discord group for direct access to me and unlock a complete library of A to Z video lessons to master supply and demand trading. Don't miss out. Let's level up your trading. Links are in the description down below. So this is the only thing I would be doing for the counter trend trading setup. In the meantime, guys, like I said, nice trends to the downside. We certainly could be trading in short, but if we continue to go down and we spike below this liquidity area, we could expect to see a short-lived rally to the upside, and that's where we could maybe hop in on a long trade. But in the meantime, guys, it is day trading shorts here all the way on the USDJPY, and I like the pullbacks up to some of the supply zones on the daily chart and the 4-hour time frame as well. On to the forecast for the GBPUSD on the weekly time frame. We'll do a full top-down approach here. There's not a lot to go off of. We had demand created, demand removed, supply created, supply removed, demand created, but it didn't count because I'm not going to get into it. It didn't count. This was not a trading setup. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I took that trade. Certainly did not. But it's just a lot of sideways actions. Not a great trend. We had a nice trend. The trend was broken. So there's just not a lot to go off of here on the weekly time frame. There is, obviously this high of price up here. So that is, in my opinion, that's probably where we are going, just based off of my experience. Doesn't mean we're going to get there, right away. looking at the daily chart, we are actually reacting off of a daily supply from back here. It's a great supply zone as far as, you know, what it is. Very nice tight basing. The move away is not bad. I would have liked a more aggressive move away, but that's fine. It is a daily supply zone. The issue is that it's kind of just a random zone in the middle of nowhere. That's why I think we will most likely be breaking it. But I'm just saying we could, as long as the supply zone's holding, we could see price kind of float around here before ending up breaking it. Don't get me wrong, guys. I am expecting price, you know, to break that daily supply. I'm just saying we could kind of see a little bit of more hesitation until we do actually remove that daily supply zone. And then, going back to it, if we do break this daily supply, if we have a daily demand down here, which doesn't really look like it's going to happen, then we can get along at that demand. But in the meantime, how do we trade the pound? Honestly, I don't see a whole lot. All I'm going to say is on the lower time frames, like the 1 hour chart and stuff and the 4 hour chart, we do have trends to the upside. So what that means is you could be looking for longs, you know, on a 15-minute and a 5-minute time frame as well would be completely fine. The only fresh zone I'm seeing is all the way down here on the 1 hour chart at 1.3. So I guess, you know, if we do push down to this demand zone, why am I ignoring this zone? Because it's tested. So it's already tested. That's why I'm not trading at that zone. If we do get a pullback down to this 1 hour zone, it's decent. Again, it's just kind of so far away that it might only be good for like a 1-to-1, 2-to-1 move. I'm not saying we're going to get a pullback all the way down to the zone and then rally out, right? So it could just be good for a short move. But in the meantime, guys, on the pound, not a whole lot going on. It's pretty much just day trading for the time being. Hopefully what I'm saying on the higher time frames makes sense as well. But with the strong trends in the daily, the 4 hour and the 1 hour chart is longs all the way. I just much prefer doing it on a day trading time frame since we don't really have any clear 4 hour or 1 hour demand zones. All right, on to the forecast for the USDCAD. This is the country where I was born and where I'm currently living. Let me know where you guys are from in the comments down below. So on the weekly time frame here, we are clearly pulling back. Massive red weekly candle last week, or sorry, the week before last week, and followed by a doji candle. So that could be maybe a sign we push up. I don't look at trading candles and all the chart patterns and all that stuff. I just look at supply and demand zones and trend lines. And all I see is a very clear area of weekly demand down below, which is our profit target to the downside. I'm not saying next week we're going to drop all the way down to here. It is possible we even rally up first before going down. I'm just saying that is where I think the sights are set on to the downside, especially with this very nice daily downward trend line. Things are looking really, really weak. And if we do pull up to this daily supply, I think it's a great area to look for swing trades. You could also turn day trades into swing trades in there as well. It's offering a lot of potential at that daily supply. And I actually hope we do pull up to the supply zone first, because I would love a pullback like that to then trade down to that weekly demand. There's tons of profit margin. So, you know, this is where our 5-to-1, you know, 4-to-1, 3-1 trades are at our higher time frame areas of supply. So I will be definitely monitoring this downward trend line on the daily chart. I'll be monitoring the daily supply zone on the USDCAD as well. On the 4 hour chart, the trend line is looking really good as well. You guys know from a couple weeks ago, we caught this beautiful 4 hour supply zone trading setup there. And we actually caught a 1 hour setup here. I'll show you guys in a second. But nice 4 hour downward trend line as well. As long as this downward trend line is holding, 15-minute time frame shorts are going to be good. If you notice, we are getting held up by a demand zone. That was a demand zone that was created a very long time ago. Let's go back and find out. This demand zone was created back in 2024 November. So it's quite a ways back. However, it is holding up price. Now, I did not get in long at this zone. I'll be honest with you guys. Not really a trade I'd be taking. However, if we do break this demand zone here and we have some sort of supply up here, right now it's looking like it might be up here, we're going to have to see, then we'll have that supply zone on the charts for the members, and we could be looking for shorts off the supply if we do get that created. It hasn't happened yet. We need to see demand removed and a clear supply zone created above to get in short. But in the meantime, the nice 4 hour downward trend line is showing us that we could be day trading short. On the 1 hour time frame, the trend line is currently holding as well. So if you're like a 1 minute trader, this is the downward trend line you want to be looking at on the 1 hour time frame if you're a 1 minute time frame trader. Now, we did catch a beautiful 1 hour supply zone trade short here. Some of the members got involved in this trade as well. Absolutely picture perfect. You can see it on the screen now. This trade was called out ahead of time in the daily market breakdown video. All the trades that I show you guys where I'm saying we caught these trades, there's all video proof of the trades being called out. No hindsight BS like a lot of these guys call out. So beautiful 1 hour supply zone setup there. Counter trend to the weekly, but it's with the trend in the daily. So beautiful setup off that 1 hour area of supply. In the meantime, guys, it is day trading shorts all the way here on the USDCAD. Make sure you guys let me know where you're from in the comments down below. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the AUDUSD. Starting with the weekly chart time frame here, we broke the low recently. Clearly, some sort of liquidity was targeted down here. Let me just draw it out now. Some sort of liquidity here was targeted, and like I was telling you guys on, I think it was USDJPY, this is the move we could see. So that is, this is a reason I was pointing that out back on the USDJPY. We could see the target of liquidity followed by the spike up. That is what I'm saying. There is money to be made on the upside of that spike. On the daily time frame, if you look here, very significant thing has happened. We broke the daily downward trend line. So the downward trend line is broken in the daily chart. That has left us with a daily demand down below. It's a good demand zone as far as the basing's not bad. The move away is great. Broke a trend line, broke a supply. I like it as far as that goes. It's just a very obvious area for me. It's just a very obvious area, just like this was an obvious area. So it's tricky. If we do get a pullback down to there, I think it could be good for longs. With the downward trend line in the daily chart broken, certainly a bullish sign. So we certainly could see some upward pressure here on the Aussie US dollar on the 1 hour time frame. A little bit confusing with the trend lines here. So you could have both these trend lines. That's fine. I will say with the trend lines to the upside, 5 minute time frame longs are going to be completely fine. So as long as you're a day trader, as long as both of these trend lines are holding, I think looking for day trading longs is going to be pretty good. If you look here, we have a little base rally that broke a proven area of supply with a liquidity trap here. So I think we could see a move off the zone. I think it's a very good zone. Could definitely be worth having on your charts. Rally-based rally at 0.635. Good little 1 hour demand zone there. I like it. You could also refine your entry on a 5 minute chart if you want. And if we do get a pullback all the way down to this 4 hour demand zone, I think it's a good little dip buying opportunity. It is obviously the daily demand's down there, so it's kind of just a 4 hour demand zone inside of a daily zone. So we got to be a little bit cautious with that. We are about to approach a very a proven area of supply in the 4 hour chart here. So if we do break this 4 hour supply above and we have a new 4 hour demand zone down below, it could be a zone we look for longs off of as well, just like I said down here. But we have to be a little bit more patient for that. So to summarize on the Aussie US dollar, guys, it is going to be longs all the way on the day trading timeframes. And like I said, I like to pull back down to the little 1 hour demand zone. On to the forecast for the USD Swiss franc. We had a very clear area of support liquidity here that was targeted. So yeah, we could see a spike up. However, we do have a fresh weekly demand zone that is down below. So I think it is a clear area we could see a move down to before rising on the USD Swiss. So it does look like it's in free fall mode. However, there's a higher time frame demand zone that's about to become a control if we do push down. So it's something we need to keep in mind. On the daily time frame, obviously things are looking really weak. I'm not even going to look back there. Really no point. But there's a lot. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 levels on top of levels here for daily supply. So the issue is if we hit the weekly demand down below, then these supply zones become pretty low odds. So the pullback we were looking for was like up here. We didn't get that pullback. So how do we trade the USD Swiss right now? Well, looking at the 1 hour chart here, look at this. This is what you don't want to be trading in. And look, I'm not going to judge anybody. If they have a profitable, proven strategy, trading in sideways markets, that's fine. You can absolutely trade in a sideways market. But I don't recommend that, especially if you're a beginner trader as well. What we want to wait for is these zones above and below that liquidity, above and below that sideways price action. So what I'd be doing here on the USD Swiss is I would be firstly monitoring this downward trend line on the 4 hour time frame. As long as the downward trend line's holding, I think looking for longs in a 50 minute and a 5 minute chart, that's going to be your bread and butter there. If we break above the trend line, just like on a lot of the other pairs, we have a 4 hour supply zone sitting above. We could certainly see a move off that at 0.839. This is a nice little hidden base drop supply zone. You guys probably are asking, why is that supply? I'm not going to get into detail here, guys, but nice move away, hidden little single candle basing. And trust me, I've been forecasting and trading for 5 years. I know what I'm doing here. It's a beautiful supply zone. I definitely think we could see a move off that zone if we do push up to it. In the meantime, it is day trading shorts all the way as long as the downward trend line is holding there on the 4-hour time frame, with a clear weekly demand zone for a clear profit target down below on the USDCHF. Last but not least, we are on to crude oil. Looking at the daily chart here, we had a massive sell-off on oil, created a daily supply zone up at 70.41. I'm not hyper-focused on this daily supply, and I will show you guys here in a second, but obviously we have seen some sort of, dead cat bounce. We could see price push up, and the reason I think we will continue to see price push up potentially is the fact that on the weekly time frame we have a weekly downward trend line with a very clear area of weekly supply above. I think it's a great weekly supply zone to look for potential short trades at 69.04. This could be a great swing trading opportunity for you swing traders out there. Day traders, you could turn day trade into a long swing trade as well. And when I say that, if you're going to turn a day trade into a swing trade, you're pretty much going to leave 25% of your position open and let the profits run and treat it like a swing trade at that point. That's what I mean by that. But we could see price push up to the weekly supply and then rally to the downside. That's kind of what I have my hopes on for right now. On the 1-hour time frame, we had a liquidity trap area here with a supply zone above. So I think we actually could see a temporary move to the downside off this 1-hour supply. Because we have a nice trend line here, we could be testing this trend line before we end up pushing price higher. So I am expecting price to go higher, but this 1-hour supply could push price lower temporarily. It is also even possible we push all the way down to this 1-hour demand zone, which is the nearest demand zone at 60.85. This demand zone is not bad. Nice drop, base, rally demand, broke a downward trend line. This demand zone is located at $60.85. That is our nearest 1-hour demand zone. The better demand zone is all the way down here on the 1-hour chart, but let me show you guys here on the 4-hour time frame. So if you want to be ignoring the 1-hour chart, that's fine. We do have a 4-hour demand zone down below that could be a great little dip buying opportunity at 57.38. We do have a 4-hour supply zone above as well at 66.26. We could see some hesitation there before ultimately pulling up to that weekly supply zone. Like I said, I know there's a lot going on with this analysis here. There's so many zones, so many ways to look at it, guys. It's complicated. It's the story of price. And I've gotten comments before like, oh, you just say long and short. I am not. I'm not saying, like, ultimately I think we are going to continue to go down on oil because of the weekly supply. But it doesn't mean we can't get a long trade, right? That offers 3-to-1 profit. Why wouldn't you take that, right? It's counter trend, but it could work out. So lots of zones here. On crude oil, a lot to watch. It's actually one of the ones that's offering the better, most clear setup. So I'm really looking forward to trading crude oil. Remember, guys, any questions at all about anything in the forecast, comment down below and I will respond to every single comment as long as I see it. If you go look at any one of my videos, I've responded to every single comment. The odd times, for some reason, some of the comments don't go through and I don't get a notification for them and I don't respond to those. But like, I swear to you, 98% of the comments I respond to. So if you comment a question or whatever, you're most likely going to see a response from me. That being said, guys, enjoy the rest of your trading week. If you want to watch the full-length forecast and get my daily chart analysis and daily market breakdown videos, join the Diamond membership. Links in the description down below.